right, what's going on, Lions fans? We are a couple of days away from closing free agency week number 2, and the Lions made a couple of signings. They made a signing today, March the 20th, but they made a couple of signings a couple of days ago that I have not touched on yet. The Lions have signed 2 edge rushers and 1 wide receiver in the last few days. A couple of days ago, they re-signed Myles Adams. Myles Adams has been on the team before, as this is another depth pick at the defensive end spot. And they also signed wide receiver Greg Dortch. Now, Greg Dortch played with the Cardinals in 2025. He is somebody that new offensive coordinator Drew Petzing is very familiar with. And it seems that this is who they are bringing in to replace Khalif Raymond. He ran a 4.5. Some reports say he ran between a 4.5 and a 4.5.5. So he is a speedy receiver. Probably not, lightning fast speed, but maybe comparable to what Khalif Raymond was. And I have to be honest, I forgot to look up his age when I was reading the report to see what the difference is in age, because I really don't understand why Brad Holmes didn't bring Khalif Raymond back. He was a culture fit. He was a team leader. People on the team loved him. And it seems like, just like I said about a couple other guys, Roy Lopez rings a bell. He seems like a guy that the Lions could have brought back for not a lot of money. So I don't really know what's going on with all of these one-year deals that Brad Holmes has going on, but it could be to the fact that he's going to try to sign 1 or 2 of those big free agents we have this year and still have enough money to sign the other 2 next year. But Greg Dortch comes in and replaces Khalif Raymond. I already mentioned Myles Adams. And then today, the Lions, and this was just a few hours ago, the Lions signed defensive end Payton Turner, who was a first-round pick in 2024. Let's read a little bit of this article I'm looking at on Pride of Detroit. It says the Lions announced on Friday afternoon they have signed free agent edge Payton Turner. Turner was the New Orleans Saints' first-round pick in 2021. I do remember when he came out of Houston. Obviously, things didn't pan out for Turner, who only played 31 games for the Saints over 4 years. It says injuries were largely to blame for Turner's lack of progression. He finished his rookie season on IR with a shoulder injury and missed nearly the entire 2023 season with a turf toe injury. Jeez. He also missed the entire 2025 season as a Dallas Cowboy. I did not know that, with a rib injury suffered prior to the season. It says injuries aside, Turner has still had a disappointing career. Start his career. In his final season with the Saints, he managed to play 16 games for New Orleans, but managed just 21 tackles and 2 sacks. I'm gonna go down a little bit. It says, I see they took something right out of my mouth. I'm looking at Marcus Davenport. I was gonna say that myself, but I see Pride of Detroit already said it. That said, it's easy to see why the Lions are interested. For one, he'll come cheap. Last year, he signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract, and given his high injury risk, he'll likely be even cheaper for Detroit this year. Secondly, he fits what the Lions like schematically, I should say stylistically, in their big defensive end. Turner is listed at 6'6", 270 pounds, which he's a good sized kid. He comes with plenty of athleticism. Finally, he fits their current trend of a young player with a chip on his shoulder. Turner just turned 27, so he's just now entering his prime. In short, he's a younger Marcus Davenport, and I 100% agree with that this kid is a young Marcus Davenport. He has been injured. I remember when he came in, he's been injury prone, and like they said in this article, he comes in on the cheap. So, I'm curious about something, Lions fans. What is Brad Holmes really doing? Is Brad Holmes really a mad scientist, and guys like me, I just don't know what I'm talking about? Or does Brad Holmes really, is he an evil genius? And what I mean is that does he have a plan that none of us can see that's going to get our boys to the promised land? Because I can't think that Brad Holmes is here to not win, but maybe he knows what he's doing. Maybe behind closed doors, Holmes and Campbell are talking and they are putting these moves together, and it makes sense to them, not only on paper, but in the locker room, and it's going to make sense on the field. But maybe sometimes as fans, we get a little antsy when we don't see our teams go for it. It's hard when you see other teams like, even when it doesn't work out, teams like the Texans in the last few years, teams like the Ravens the last few years, teams like the Seahawks last year. It's hard when you see teams actually swing and at least try to make something work. And then you look at your own team that you love and you say, well, what are they doing? Why are they not doing what these other teams are doing to try to make this thing work? So we now are starting to beef up the defensive line. What I mean by beef up is I mean depth. Just last week, I was complaining and saying that Aiden Hutchinson was the only defensive end on the team. Now they have added a couple of more to start to add depth. But let's be clear, Payton Turner is not the guy. Payton, just like DJ Wanham, Payton Turner is a depth is a depth piece. He's a guy that will come in and give a guy a break, a relief. This is not the edge we're looking for. So maybe Brad Holmes really still is cooking up something where he's going to get an edge in here, or maybe just maybe there's somebody in the draft or two people in the draft that he's seeing that he believes is going to fall into the Lions' lap that is going to fill that spot. All right, Lions fans, what is your take on these last three signings? Bringing back Myles Adams, bringing in defensive end Payton Turner, and bringing in wide receiver Greg Dortch, someone who Drew Petzing is very familiar with. All right. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Give us your thoughts on these signings and give us your thoughts on what it is that you think that Brad Holmes is doing. Listen, does Brad Holmes know what he's doing, or do we as Lions fans just not know what we're doing, and we need to just have faith in Brad that he's going to get these boys to the finish line? That's all for this one. Until next time.